Giovani COF, and I'm going to be talking about the FIFA World Cup and hurting countries rather than helping them. My claim is the choosing of countries for the FIFA World Cup is not a reliable source because since most of these choosings are, I want to say, bribed, most countries actually bribe the FIFA World Cup to make these allegations of buying the World Cup, and most people say that that there's no allegations, and normally the FBI gets mostly into this and other things. But first, I want to go over the qualifications of having the FIFA World Cup. So the first one would be having the stadiums. So there's three types of stadiums for the FIFA World Cup, which would be the international one, I think it was the Confederations, and the final. So the international would have 30,000 people, with I think it was 5,000 for parking, and then for the final it would be 50,000 people, with parking would be 10,000, and for buses it would be 500. So basically these stadiums come around to making around like 9 to 12 stadiums per country, and would normally cost about, I want to say, over maybe $300 million on each stadium. So if you put 10 on each one, that's around, I want to say, $3 billion in all making the stadiums. And since most countries, just like Qatar and Brazil, don't have that type of money to be making, to be spending on FIFA World Cups, well, you have like the 1994 World Cup, which was the United States, and then France in 2006, that have that type of money. It's really not a problem for them to have it. So you have countries that are like, I guess, under the bar of their GDP would be under what Mexico and Canada and any big countries, I guess, like France, like that, would be making a profit. So most countries, like in the 1998 World Cup, which was Korea and Japan, which were really big countries back then, they made they unified together to have the World Cup, so they can put it together. And then my third claim would be having to make the stadium venues and hotels for the World Cup. Wait, hold on. Sorry. So then you have the Brazil and Qatar requirements, which were supposedly random, but they really weren't, because in 2005, the ex-executive FIFA president, Chuck Baser, claimed that he accepted bribes from 1998 in the 2010 World Cup, and also said that the FIFA president, Sepp Blatter, later on in the FBI investigation, said that they accepted over $15 million for the Brazilian World Cup, and they expect to have more from the Qatar World Cup. And then, so in the end, why would any country really want to have a World Cup in their country, you may be asking? But it's really not the people, since most people, just like in Brazil and Qatar, you see people rioting and you see all these bad things on the news, that people are getting evicted from their homes. But in the end, the only person that really makes a profit is the government and the businessmen, since the businessmen get all the money from the hotels, and they use taxpayer money to make the venues look nicer, the streets look even better than before, and all the money really is going from the people and going into the hands of the rich. That's it.
All right, Giovanni, I know what your topic is. I'm not exactly sure what the claim is. I guess it sounds like you're saying that the method of selecting these countries is problematic, or that you're saying that the participation in the World Cup finals or being a host country for the World Cup finals is financially insolvent for countries, or that there's a lack of benefit to the residents of the country. I don't know. I mean, you're all over the place on this. You've got a lot of things that you're squawking about the World Cup, but you need to have a lot more focus on what the point of the speech is. It just seems like it's a random shotgunning of complaints about the World Cup, and those complaints aren't always complete. I mean, you get an assertion about riots and people being unhappy, but I don't have any evidence that says that there were riots and people being unhappy. Most of the time, the rioting that I see is when the people's team win, and then you get riots. If you say that there are riots because houses are being closed down, or people are being moved out of an area because they're building a stadium, I mean, I've heard people make those arguments. I just didn't hear you make those arguments. It was incomplete. Like I said, there's some random bits and pieces of information and random bits and pieces of assertions that are not being put together in a very clear structure. I think there is plenty of controversy about FIFA and the World Cup, and I think you need to just focus in and just say hosting the World Cup is a financial disaster for most countries. There you go. There's your claim. Now, why is it a financial disaster? One, because most countries have to build new facilities that they can't afford. Two, because to get the World Cup, they have to invest money that they can't really afford to bribe the officials. And third, they don't get any financial benefit from hosting the World Cup because the money all goes to private entrepreneurs, something like that. There. Now you've got an argument that I think anybody could follow, but I'm putting it together. You're the one who needs to be putting it together, and that's the problem. That's the main problem with the speech. It's just, I know that there are things that are controversial there, things to talk about, criticisms to make, but you need to build them into an argument, and it just feels like it's spin the wheel of bitching, and here's something to complain about. All right, thank you.